We're back at 10 after 8. Did you and your partner sleep in different rooms last night? I don't mean you had a fight, just on a normal night. Did you sleep in separate rooms? If so, you're not alone. A study from the National Sleep Foundation suggests that as many as 1 out of every 4 so-called partnered adults do it. So, Kristen and Bill Hawkins attribute their happy marriage to separating at bedtime. But it's definitely not for everyone.
My husband rolls over, I wake up. If he snores, I wake up. If he moves, I wake up. If he moves his pillow, I wake up. If he gets out of bed, I wake up.
I can't sleep.
The best thing about sleeping together is snuggling.
Sweet dreams.
Now, go! Hey!
The worst thing about sleeping in bed together is when you hag the covers. No, I don't snore.
She snores.
I do not snore.
You do snore.
I don't
I'm
snore.
the one that hears it. She snores.
No, I don't.
I give her a hip check.
I ain't snoring, it's him. What's the matter?
The most annoying thing about sharing a bed with somebody is when they come over onto my side.
Sleeping in separate rooms is torture.
There's a big stigma about it that if you're not sharing the same bed every night of the week.
We didn't know if it was a result of us not liking each other anymore or not. Hey, no, we're just sleeping better.
Stephanie Coontz is a marriage historian and professor of history and family studies at Evergreen State College in Washington State and has written extensively on this subject. Dr. Gail Saltz is a psychiatrist and Today contributor. Ladies, good morning to both of you.
Good morning, Matt.
Let me start with you, okay? We know some of the reasons why people separate at nighttime. There's snoring, kicking, one likes it hot, one likes it cold, different schedules. What do you think of the concept?
I think that you can't be naive about what might be underlying the concept. Of course, there are going to be extreme situations where you've tried everything, but the issue is, have you tried other things? Relationships are about compromise. Lives are busy.
Well, you're saying it's not always about snoring, that there's actually, you think, an underlying reason? It's more about a problem in the marriage?
If you've chosen to be in separate rooms and have separate space at night, and you haven't tried other things, say you're snoring, you haven't tried procedures, you haven't tried some earplugs, you haven't tried separate beds that push together if you're moving around. If you haven't tried anything else, then I would question.
Well, but who cares if you try that? Bill and Kristen in that piece say, you know what, I wake up, I'm more rested, I feel better, I'm in a better mood. If it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Well, what I would say to them is, are they pushing each other away? Are they having a problem with intimacy? Is one of them having a sexual problem, where which, by the way, 43% of people do have a sexual problem, and rather than fail, they'd rather say, well, I'm just in another room. Everything's really groovy. We're really happy roommates.
Let me bring Stephanie in here, okay? Stephanie, this is personal, but you and your husband sleep separately, right?
Sometimes, okay. Certainly when he was working and had a schedule that got him up at 3:30 in the morning.
So schedule was the main reason for that?
Yeah.
And how do you feel about Gail's assertion that generally when people make this decision, you might want to look for underlying problems in the marriage?
I have a real problem with it. You know, if somebody's coming to you in therapy and they've got problems, then you might want to explore that. But I don't think we should take this influential show into bedrooms and living rooms all around the country and say, oh, if you're sleeping apart, you have a problem. You know, we have this idea of what togetherness is and intimacy that was invented in the 1950s when marriages were basically all the same. But we don't have cookie-cutter marriages anymore, and we shouldn't hand out cookie-cutter advice.
You're saying, in your case, sleeping in separate rooms is a modern-day solution to a modern world.
Well, you know, my case, other cases, the point is that today, you know, in the 1950s, most women were married at 19. Very few worked outside the home. Today's couples are equals. They've got lots of demands on their time. The key to a modern marriage is negotiation. And if it works for them, who are we to say?
Okay, but today's couples also get divorced at a rate of 50%.
That's right, and they have to work even harder than they did then to find time, to carve out time for each other. They have to work harder at compromising. They have to work harder at attaining intimacy than actually they did then in certain ways.
Okay, so have there been studies done on couples who sleep separately? How does it impact intimacy?
I mean, you might know about studies. I don't actually.
I know the studies about what makes for intimate, good marriages, and whether you sleep in the same bed or the same bedroom is not there. The keys are friendship, respect, sense of humor, intimacy, good sex, and by the way...
Well, but good sex, how are you having good sex when you're sleeping in separate bedrooms?
By the way, you can have very good sex when you've had a rested night's sleep, and it doesn't even have to be in the same bedroom.
You know what? What I would say is most couples don't come to a therapist when they're having marital trouble. Your thought that, you know, if they're coming in and they're saying they're having a problem, most people that have a problem don't get help, and they don't even admit to themselves. They don't even know that they're having a problem till they're already on the road to divorce.
If just a good night's sleep is the cause here, I mean, 1,506 adults were surveyed. Some said disruptive sleep robbed them of an average of 49 minutes of sleep a night. When the average person only gets 6 or 7 hours a night, that's a lot.
Look, as a psychiatrist, certainly sleep is important, and I'm not saying that, and I think that you do have to pay attention. I'm not saying do nothing, and there certainly are probably instances where some compromise has to be made that's not about sleeping in the same bed. But overall, what I'm saying is I think you're fooling yourself if, generally speaking, that's your solution.
So then, Stephanie, I give you the last word. Wouldn't the best solution be, if you're going to take this step, have a real frank discussion with your partner about the reasons for it?
That's what you have to have before you do everything nowadays. You need individualized, flexible, negotiated marriages, and I'm not going to tell you what you should end up with when you've negotiated.
Stephanie and Gail.